So, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have Howard Brown with me. He's a two-time stage 4 cancer survivor, people. He's a renowned author. He's a public speaker. He tours all over the place talking. He's an interfaith peacemaker. This guy's amazing. He's kind of done it all. His book, Shining Brightly, is a collaborative effort through his connections and friendships that he's made along this twisted road. But this man is a true survivor, a brilliant storyteller, and an awesome dad and husband. And I'm really happy to have him on my little modest podcast. And he's kind enough to record this episode today. So that's why you're able to say it in video or get the audio. I'm excited to have him on board with my podcast today. The author of Shining Brightly, Howard Brown. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Amanda. Oh, thrilled to be here. Thank you. And thrilled to be your first video and audio podcast. So I'm glad to support you, and together we are shining brightly.
Absolutely. When I first met you, it was through that conference, and just meeting you online, it's like, I need to know this guy's story. You were kind enough to let me read your book before we did this, and I've just been completely blown away. I've been sending snapshots of it to my husband and telling him, you got to read this. You got to do this. You need to follow through with your doctors. You're changing the way that I look at things, and I hope you're changing the way that he looks at things too. But congratulations on writing this book. This is just groundbreaking and really amazing. Can you tell the audience the unique way that you went about researching for this book and what you hope to achieve?
I do. So the achieve part is simple. I want to motivate, educate, and inspire others to lead a resilient life, get through the hard times, get back up again, and do it with hope, do it with compassion, do it with kindness to make this world a better place. So that's what I want to happen, and it's happening. It's a movement. It's happening. How I wrote the book was very interesting. So unfortunately, I had a second stage 4 cancer diagnosis, colon cancer, in 2016. And a friend of mine, David Crum, who's the publisher of Fronthead Publishing and ReadTheSpirit.com magazine, he took me out for coffee, and he thought he was saying goodbye. And we took a half-hour coffee and bagel meeting, and it turned into 2 hours because he said, do you want to leave a legacy? And I told him some brief stories, and being a colorectal cancer patient, I use the bathroom frequently. So I came out, and every time he had a new chapter heading, and he said, let's leave a legacy. Let's write a short book for you. And I said, not interested. I'm daunted by the fact of writing a book because I'm not a good writer. But I said, I'll go home and run it by my wife, Lisa. She started laughing. She goes, David wants you to write a book. I said, yep. And I called him back in a few days after really thinking about it. And not knowing what my future was going to hold, I thought leaving a legacy is a good idea and telling my stories. And so I called him back and I said, David, I will write a book with you under one condition. And he said, only one? I said, yes. I said, I want to record all the most influential people and important people in my life on Zoom. I said, and then we're going to take, because I don't have a manuscript, we got to go create one. So he thought about it. He says, I'll call you back. We've never done that before. So he got back to me and he says, all right, we're going to take 1 year and we're going to record. And the Zoom transcripts became drafts, and the drafts become chapters. And then I have a manuscript. It took 3 years, but it's very different. My book is not an author kind of preaching at you or telling you things. I am sort of emceeing conversations between friends, family, doctors, camp counselors, cancer patients, interfaith folks, basketball players, and it was great. It takes time to do that. And so these are conversations in multiple voices that I am kind of basically orchestrating like a maestro in the chapters. And it makes it interesting that way.
That is very cool. That was one of the things that I really loved about reading your book. I went through several chapters and I had a really hard time putting it down. From what I understand, that happens frequently where people are telling you that it's a page turner.
You always, that's your intention, right?
Right. So the theme of light is pretty central to your story. It also shows on your face, which is why this is so great that this is my first ever video podcast. On your book cover there, it is a bird taking flight in the center of a light bulb. Light is just huge in your story. So why does light feature so prominently? Why is that so
Well,
important?
thank you. The book cover is getting a lot of talk as what type of bird is it? Well, someone called it a pigeon in France, and they call all birds pigeons. Someone called it a phoenix, which is applicable, the rise of the phoenix from two, cancer diagnosis. It's a dove. And so my name and me is shooting that energy through shining brightly to light up the dove, because the dove stands for peace, love, and hope. And the light bulb is illuminating that. And that's sort of the meaning that I worked with a very famous artist, Rick Neese, on putting together this very thought-provoking cover. Now, the book actually, light is eminent through every chapter, because if you lead a life of darkness, as you are well aware and experienced, it can lead to problems. And it can lead to other malaise. It can be lonely. It can be depressive. And I have to tell you, everyone's had a taste of darkness recently if COVID world has restricted you in any way or any form. But people get knocked down in a life all the time. You can lose a job. You can lose a friendship. You can actually drink too much. When from abuse and trafficking and cancer, there's lots of stuff that knocks you down. And the book is really a life guide to how you get back up again.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think we all need those moments of light in our life.
Absolutely. And so I'll read to you so that the viewers now and the audio listeners, there's a lot of lessons to learn, but I learned one lesson that was just prominent, and now I put it to use every single day. And it's really not what you can get out of life. It's what you can give back to others and in life. And in doing so, there's 4 topics. I'm going to read them so I don't get them wrong. It's each of us has our own special light, which is absolutely true. It makes us all different and special. We shine more brightly when we share our light with others, because that's how we're supposed to walk in the image of God and be good in this earth. True resiliency that all of us has faced, you included, Amanda, which you are my superhero, courageous woman, unbelievable and new friend. And that kind of true resiliency, the kind that is strong enough to overcome trauma, seemingly impossible odds, rests on letting the light of others in. And that means accepting help. That means our caregivers. And that means taking that help. And then as our light circles the world, we illuminate and we celebrate diversity. And I call this the force multiplier effect. Let's take all the negative stuff and the bad stuff happening, and let's outweigh it. Let's battle it with our own light and the light of goodness.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
So when you were 23 years old, you were diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I can't believe I just said that as smoothly as I did. I always screw that up. I didn't do that time. You were given how long to live?
Well, so first of all, you can Dr. Google it, and you can look at what stage 4 T-cell accelerated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's not long. Anything stage 4 in the cancer world isn't usually, could be for 3 to 6 months without any treatment. It could be 12 to 18 months. It's a short period of time. And I was 23 years old. I moved back home with mom and dad from Dayton, Ohio, and a great new promotion at a job. And they didn't tell me, but things were bad. Things were really, really bad. They didn't know if they could cure me. I had a very aggressive form of blood cancer in my lymphatic system. And they weren't giving me good long odds.
Wow. And then fast forward how many years, you got diagnosed again at the age of 50 with stage 3 colon cancer that became later on stage 4 colon cancer. I mean,
that's right.
Oh my gosh. So what all happened in your life between those years to help you prepare for dealing with all of everything that you've had to go through?
So I will say that the objective is to put cancer in the rear view and return to your life so you can have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. Right. And that's what I called in the first cancer Humpty Dumpty version 1, because I needed a survivorship plan, and I needed to get myself back, right? You need to get yourself, your true self back. And they call that in the COVID days now, getting your new normal or your next normal back. But I had a miracle happen, right? I would not be here today if my twin sister did not give me bone marrow. And she gave me her bone marrow, and a bone marrow transplant happened on May 24th. And then I went on a clinical trial for interleukin-2 that strengthened my whole DNA and my natural killer cells. And that saved my life. Now, I took in so much chemotherapy and so much full body radiation. I had no idea what that was going to do to me in the future. But I started to build what are called clean scans and clean tests and clean blood tests. And today they call that no evidence of disease. And I moved out to California. I moved away from Boston and I moved to Los Angeles. I needed the waves, the weather, and the beach to put my life back together and grow my confidence, grow my mental toughness. Like trauma, you get knocked down to your core emotionally, physically, financially, and in relationships. And to put the puzzle back together, it takes work.
Yeah. Yeah. And for so much of this, you had a wife. I mean, this had to be really hard on her. I know in the chapter Silicon Valley, you talked about your lack of sleep and your drive to keep working until the magazine clipping. Can you tell us a little bit about what Lisa did with that magazine clipping? Do you remember what it said?
So beautiful things started to happen to me. My confidence was growing. I was playing basketball, my happy place, building my, I was working on the emotional game. I was working on the physical side. I'm earning money again, and I'm building relationships, right? And so one of those relationships was with Lisa, and Lisa, I have a chapter called The Love of My Life. And so we got married in 94. We moved up to Silicon Valley in 97. And a few years into our marriage, we're doing a ton of charity work in the Jewish community. I'm in Silicon Valley during the .com 90s. I mean, it was go, 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 fast, fast, fast. And as I say, 2 + 2 = 200 in the book. She said, you work all the time and life just sucks you back into, you say you're not going to sweat the small stuff or fall into those errors again, and to be appreciative. I went back to my old ways of being a workaholic, working, traveling, trying to build these startups and lead these teams. And she's put an article and said, well, we've been married now and for 7 years and we're not getting any younger. Do we want to have a baby together? And having a baby is a big story, because before I ever did any chemotherapy back in Boston for cancer number 1, I went to the cryogenic center. And the reason I did that is I had a doctor talking to me about fertility, even though he told me I was going to die, right? Not in those words. I didn't do chemo one day, the first day ever. And he said, let's go to a road trip there. And I did. Thank God I did, because I actually started to do better at not being a workaholic. And it also coincided that the Silicon Valley was on a pendulum swing from the .com to the .bomb. And I started my own nonprofit and I started working much more reasonably. And we ordered the sperm from Boston to San Jose. And we had a miracle child, Emily, a healthy baby girl, in August of 2001. And man, I hit the lottery with a twin sister and a bone marrow transplant. I hit the lottery with frozen sperm after 11 years, gave us a healthy baby girl, Emily. I mean, that's 2 lottery tickets in one life. That's more than most people get.
Right. Absolutely. And I loved your joke about Jay Leno and the kid sickles.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There was a movie, Forget Paris too. He had to rush back to the hospital. But yeah, the kids, frozen kidsicles. Yeah, she's great. She's 21 and she's going to graduate the University of Michigan.
Wow. And IVF process can be really traumatic for people too. And I'm so glad you guys were able to conceive on the very first try. As again, another miracle. There were just so many things just stacked up for you guys that this was just, God was saying, no, this is what you're supposed to have. This is your life. That's just cool.
Right. It was just amazing.
Yeah. And it looks like she has a real gift for soccer. I saw a picture of her in your book. She's diving to save the ball, and some photographer took that one for a journalist photographer. Was that in a publication?
Yeah, it was in the Oakland local paper, the Oakland News here, Oakland County, Michigan. So Emily got into soccer, and then she got into travel soccer. Then she got into like National League soccer, which is like at a whole nother level. And so she started at 5'4" goalie, and that's small. Goalies are usually 8 to 6 feet now. And but she worked really hard at her craft. And in travel soccer, you travel either by car, 5-7 hours, get on a plane to play soccer matches each weekend. And so I was the soccer dad and the different times the team manager. And we spent a lot of time with the other soccer parents, at a Holiday Inn Express and, eating the, 35, 40 people eating at the Olive Garden for the team meal. But she did. She won a national championship in Dallas, Texas, in like 107 degrees at U16, which is a very big deal. That's what the big trophy is. And it was an amazing accomplishment. Team sports, and again, I think that fighting any trauma is a team sport. Fighting cancer is a team sport. Fundraising is a team sport. And soccer certainly was a team sport for her, and her team won the national championship. Huge honor, great experience, life experience for her.
That's amazing. Yeah, I loved reading about her. Yeah, and there was one point when she was 16 and you guys were on the road and she had figured out the truth of what was going on. And it seems like in her Zoom interview with you, or where you guys were just sitting down and talking about it, she said that it was really hard on her. And she quoted a line from my husband's favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption, where she said, you can get busy living or you can get busy dying. And she told you that she had discovered that as a way to deal with it. I mean, what all kind of impact did all of the stage 4 colon cancer have on her? Was she terrified she was going to lose her dad?
I'm trying not to get too emotional because cancer and trauma affects not just the actual patient or the person, it affects all of the folks around you. There's not anyone here of our audiences that doesn't know someone or been affected by cancer. And so I was scared that I wasn't going to see her graduate high school. She was a freshman in high school. My wife is worried about losing her husband and had to drop everything she was doing and step into a caregiver role. And Emily, she hit it well, but at a real detriment to her well-being. So she would always be asked, how's your dad? How's your dad? No one asked about her. She was getting ignored because it was all hands on deck on whether I was going to live or die. Right. And that brought her darkness. And I have to tell you, when you're in the firing lines of cancer, and my wife's dropped everything, that one slipped through the crack of parenting. And we got that fixed later on because she got help. She needed to get help to get by it because she was watching the trauma unfold, okay? Like a reality TV program. And, we're asking, basically a freshman, a 14-year-old to take these life and death issues, mortality, and internalize them, but not externalize them. Right. And she's doing great now. Soccer was a big outlet for her, but not a complete outlet for her. And she was a good student, but we missed that piece of her emotional well-being, but we got her help afterwards.
She seems like she's a pretty amazing kid.
She's a great kid.
And she's only 1 year younger than my son, so they're pretty close in age.
Yeah, she's an outdoorsy person. She climbs mountains in snowshoes, and she jumped out of an airplane at her internship this summer. And she just told us that she's going to be a TV producer at a small TV station in Missoula as her job coming out of school and graduating in December and starting in January. So
that's fantastic.
She's going to be making her own way. She's on her way.
Speaking of graduating, you went to college. You went to Babson College in Wellesley. And you do talk about that in your book. And one of the things that you brought up was Babson gave you lessons and you learned things that were really so unique. So how did they lay the foundation for the life that you have led?
So first of all, Babson College is, and babson.edu is out of Wellesley, and it's the #1 school for entrepreneurial studies in the world. And they have 44,000 alums in 127 different countries, because entrepreneurship changes economies. It can change lives, and it can be implemented anywhere through family business, women-owned businesses, venture capital. People think of the tech entrepreneur, but you can be and need entrepreneurism if you own a gas station. You've got to have those accounting skills and marketing skills and things like that. So I went to the wrong school. I won't mention it, but it's in the book. But I went to a liberal arts college and I took summer classes, and at my dad's beckoning, because I didn't do so great my freshman year. And I did great at Babson summer classes. And this woman, Marilyn Snyder, asked me if I went to Babson. And I said I did not. She goes, you really should consider it. And I'll even write you a recommendation. Go back down to the liberal arts school and transfer in. And it changed the trajectory of my entire life, because I went to Babson and I thrived. And I learned, a lot of great skills, not just the business skills of accounting and marketing and customer support and financial, reading a spreadsheet. And it really taught me resilience, my first real resilience, because building startup companies brick by brick takes grit. It takes effort. And you've got to have a lot of things in check, and you got to be a little bit lucky sometimes, but a lot of things to build those bricks in order to take an idea from ideation to innovation to customers paying for that service or that product. So great life skill building there, great friendships built there. And I wanted to give back to Babson, and I still do.
That's amazing. That is awesome. How do you give back to Babson? What's your main platform for doing that?
The main platform has been the Alumni Association. So it's the governing body for the worldwide alumni. And I was the two-time president. Even once during two years going through chemotherapy, they said, oh, you can give up. I said, no, it gives me too much joy, and it's really healing for me. And I was a trustee of the college, learning how a college operates. I started the San Francisco Alumni Club, and now I have the Michigan Alumni Club. So I give back, and I mentor a lot of students, and I connect students with internships. It's all about paying it forward. That's cool. The shining the light. That's that. I got to walk, you can talk the talk, but I walk the walk too.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of mentoring, I know you do mentor cancer patients and stuff. So if we've got some cancer patients out there that are interested in talking to you, or people who have survived cancer, how would they reach out to you? How would they get in touch?
Yeah, the best way is to go through shiningbrightly.com. There's a contact form that allows you to talk to me about anything. It's private, and it comes directly to me, and I'd be glad to reach out back to you. So I talk to, and I call it my cancer whispering, a lot of listening actually, but I talk to cancer patients in active treatment or caregivers learning how to support their partners. And then I'm especially proud of that there will go from 16 million to 24 million cancer survivorship is increasing, and people are living longer with cancer due to medical technology and due to the treatments that are getting better. Still got a long way to go, but reach out, and that's what we should do, right? I'm 5 steps ahead of people that are in active treatment right now. I am not in active treatment. I am in surveillance, and I've been places that other people are going to go, and I can only share my experience and just listen. Feel where they are at emotionally, physically, financially, and in relationships.
Right. Do you have any advice for family members of people who are going through this?
Oh, I think my wife and other caregivers would be much better. But my wife participated in a book called Now What? These people are aging and living longer. But I will tell you that the caregivers are superheroes because they give up everything and they take all the responsibility onto their shoulders. And they are the communicators out, to everyone wanting to know how you're doing. They watch you at your lowest moments, from having steroids or vomiting or being rushed to the hospital, and they take all that in, as well as trying to raise a daughter, hold that family down, right, and try to continue moving on. And unfortunately, our healthcare system in the U.S. is broken, and healthcare costs are out of control, and so you get into real financial loopholes and problems there too, because you got to keep track of that all. And then sometimes they don't know what answers. You don't know what the future lies. You don't know how much time you have left. So all that into the caregiver. So I call them my angels on earth. And caregiving is a tough job, but people mostly do it out of love. And right. I just appreciate the caregivers out there, especially my mom, and my wife, and my daughter. Because I put them through hell, not intentionally, but
right. Yeah, you'd never do that to somebody on purpose.
That's not any. I hope it's no one's intention to do that. It makes you a really negative and bad person.
Yeah. One of the things that I really loved about your book is that at the end of every chapter, you had context, you had links, you had things that people could research to find more information about certain subjects. And I just loved that. At the conclusion of the book, you had sharing hope as a call to action to make the world a better place. And why do you feel that this, I mean, I know why I feel it's so essential, but why do you feel this is important?
So I love that you should feel, everyone should feel it personally and make their own determinations. I have discussion guides on survivorship and on mentorship as leadership and interfaith relations. And I leave the last 2 spots blank. I want you to fill in those, make it personal. Sharing hope is vital, okay? Because it can get really dark out there and lonely and depressive. But if you share hope and you have hope, you have something to reach for. What's that motivation, right? My motivation early on was to see my daughter graduate high school. And I'm going to see her graduate college, right? I had this massive surgery where they poured hot chemo in me, and I have no idea if it was going to work. And there's a huge relapse rate, but I had hope. And my hope is that I will inspire others to lead a life of goodness and take care of themselves. So lift themselves up first so that they can lift up others and create that force multiplier for good. And so we can share love. We can now have to go over to share hugs, right? You can share gifts. You can share a meal. You can share a coffee. Let's start the movement of sharing hope and gratitude. And that to me, that helps. It helps. It helps to get through the day for those that are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. So where would people go if they wanted to hear you speak or watch some of your interviews or grab a copy of your book? What's the best way for people to be able to reach out and grab a hold of a piece of what it is that you're doing?
So you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm not doing too much on Instagram and TikTok yet, but I'm being told I might try that. But I have my podcast coming out. The Shining Brightly podcast will be coming out before year end. Great episodes with really interesting people, including you, Amanda, on your life story and your passions and life experience. But shiningbrightly.com. You can click the link to Barnes & Noble, to Amazon. You can just say you want me to message me directly, and I can send you a hard copy or a paperback if you want the Kindle. You have to go to Amazon, and I will send you a signed book plate as well for that. And just come and reach me out.
Awesome. And one last thing, have you got a word of advice for somebody like me that's trying to talk my husband into doing the colonoscopy just so we can avoid anything like this in the future?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to do it with my Shining Brightly glasses because that is the question. Oh my goodness. All right. So let me paint this out for you. All right. What's better? Chemotherapy, radiation, painful side effects, or do a cleanse for 24 hours and either have an at-home Cologuard test or FIT test where you poop in a cup and send it in to get examined, or have a colonoscopy that you get 20 minutes of restful sleep. They pretty much could trim any polyps out there. There's a website called leadfrombehind.org that shows Ryan Reynolds getting his colonoscopy, not the gory parts, but go get screened, but not just for your colonoscopy, your mammogram, okay, your cardio, your prostate. Part of lifting yourself up is taking care of yourself, your own physical and mental health. So go make those appointments. Don't mess around.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we shine brightly. Take care of ourselves.
I love that you shine brightly.
Yeah, we're shining together. Love that.
I got to get in on that too.
Yes, you do.
Howard, you are absolutely amazing. You're inspiring. I want my husband to listen to this. I want my husband to watch us. And I want all of you guys to grab a copy of Shining Brightly because this is such a great and powerful book. I've really enjoyed it. And Howard, I've really enjoyed having you on my show. Thank you.
I'm grateful and thankful. And we'll together, Amanda, we are going to join up and make this world a better place. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.